Two and a Half Men and gone better?
Well, of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do. No, I still owe John a phone call. You know, I don't know that that show would ever come back or would ever have a chance at ending properly, but I would do it more for the fans than for myself.
Stories about Charlie Sheen are far from over. His erratic behavior, explosive rants, and on-set conflicts became Hollywood legend. But some wounds never heal, and the truth never disappears. Behind the jokes and tabloid headlines are celebrities who didn't just fall out with Charlie Sheen, they were burned by him. These aren't playful feuds or gossip. These are actors, collaborators, and insiders who walked away furious, betrayed, or done for good. And when you hear who still refuses to forgive him, you'll realize Charlie Sheen's most lasting legacy isn't his fame. It's the bridges he destroyed behind the scenes. Chuck Lorre. Chuck Lorre gave Charlie Sheen the career of a lifetime. He created Two and a Half Men specifically with Sheen in mind. He structured an entire show around Sheen's persona. He paid him nearly $2 million per episode. He defended him through relapses, through tabloid scandals, through behavior that would have ended most careers before they started. For 8 seasons, Lorre protected that investment. He believed in second chances. He believed in the work.
It does in this case, you know, I mean, it is exactly, it's a weight that comes off your heart. You really can feel it, like it's over.
Then came 2011. Sheen didn't just criticize his boss. He launched a campaign. He called Lorre a clown. He called him a stupid, stupid little man. He went on radio shows. He recorded video rants. He turned his contempt into content. And then he did something that removed any possibility of misunderstanding. He made it about Lorre's religion. He used Lorre's Hebrew name as a slur. He turned professional disagreement into something else entirely. That was the point of no return. Not the insults, not the unprofessionalism, the anti-Semitism. Because that revealed what Sheen actually thought when the cameras were off. It revealed what he believed he could say when he felt wronged. It revealed the contempt underneath the charm. Lorre had built an empire around Sheen's talent. He had structured storylines to accommodate Sheen's limitations. He had hired writers to make Sheen's version of humor work. He had spent years managing what everyone in the industry already knew, that Sheen was unreliable, combustible, and increasingly difficult to justify. And when Lorre finally had to make a decision between his show and his star, Sheen responded with bigotry. Warner Brothers fired Sheen. Sheen filed a lawsuit for $100 million. The lawsuit failed. The show continued without him. It lasted 4 more seasons. It made more money. And Chuck Lorre proved what Sheen could never accept, that the machine was bigger than the man. Years later, they reconciled. Lorre hired Sheen for a small role on Bookie. Interviews were given, hands were shaken. Hollywood called it growth. But reconciliation is not erasure. Working together again does not undo what was said. And what Chuck Lorre learned in 2011 remains true. Charlie Sheen was given everything. He was protected when he shouldn't have been. He was paid when others would have been fired. And the moment it ended, he reached for the ugliest weapon he could find. That's not a feud. That's a character reveal. And no amount of time makes that untrue. Jon Cryer. Jon Cryer stood beside Charlie Sheen for 8 years. He showed up to work every day. He delivered his lines. He played the straight man to Sheen's chaos, both on screen and off. When Sheen struggled, Cryer stayed quiet. When Sheen relapsed, Cryer kept working. When the tabloids ran stories about Sheen's personal life, Cryer defended him publicly. He called him a friend. He called him a professional. He acted like loyalty was a two-way street. It wasn't.
Yeah, I had some frustration, mostly with the sort of persona he adopted after the show, the Tiger Blood persona. Just, I knew it was bullshit, and so hearing him just constantly spewing it was just like, shut up. At this point, I am, there's no point in maintaining anger about that kind of thing.
In 2011, when Sheen's meltdown reached its peak, Cryer was still on set. He was still preparing for scenes they would never shoot. He was still waiting for Sheen to show up, to apologize, to acknowledge the people whose careers depended on the show continuing. Sheen never did. Instead, he went on television. He gave interviews. He called himself a warlock. He declared he was winning. And while he performed for the cameras, the crew went home. The writers stopped writing. The production shut down. And Jon Cryer watched the show he helped build collapse because one man decided his grievances mattered more than everyone else's livelihood. What crossed the line wasn't the firing. It was what came after. Sheen has apologized since then. He has said he regrets his behavior. He has expressed a desire to make amends. He has said he wants to work with Cryer again. And Jon Cryer has said no. Not out of anger, not out of bitterness, out of something far more damning, certainty. Because Cryer knows what happens when you give Charlie Sheen another chance. He watched it happen in real time. He saw the pattern repeat itself season after season. The promises, the relapses, the apologies, the entitlement. He saw how Sheen treated the people who protected him. He saw how quickly gratitude turned into contempt, and he made a decision that people who've been burned before understand instinctively. He chose his own peace. Cryer has spoken carefully about this. He has mentioned the stress. He has mentioned his family. He has mentioned not wanting to relive that period of his life. He has not called Sheen a bad person. He has not said he hates him. He has simply drawn a line. That line says more than any insult could. Because Jon Cryer doesn't need to condemn Charlie Sheen publicly. He just needs to protect himself from him privately. And that's the most final judgment there is. Sheen destroyed the show. Cryer survived it. And survival means knowing when someone isn't safe to stand next to anymore. Denise Richards. Denise Richards married Charlie Sheen in 2002. She believed in him. She defended him when others warned her. She stood beside him through tabloid stories and public scrutiny. She got pregnant. She had their first daughter. She got pregnant again. And then she filed for divorce.
I went through so much with my divorce from Charlie that it affected my career. And I had a hard time actually getting a job because people perceived me as someone that was trying to take down Charlie Sheen, who was on this big show, and it was the network and studio, and it was a different time.
He was all over the place during that time.
Yeah, and it was hard. So I also had 2 daughters. I didn't have Eloise at the time, and I had to work.
So what'd you do? You
I did my reality
you did your reality
show.
and then you just...
And then it changed. Then I was able to get back to working as an actress.
Not after a fight, not after a scandal, while she was 6 months pregnant with their second child. That was the moment that changed everything. Because women don't leave marriages while carrying a man's child unless staying has become more dangerous than leaving. They don't file legal papers and hire attorneys and prepare for a custody battle when they're supposed to be preparing a nursery unless something has made it impossible to stay. And Denise Richards didn't just leave quietly. She filed court documents. She put it on the record. She made sure there was a legal trail. In those filings, she stated that Sheen was violent, that he threatened her life, that his behavior was unstable and escalating, that his addiction wasn't something he was managing, it was something he was surrendering to. She wasn't asking for privacy. She wasn't asking for time to work it out. She was asking for protection. Sheen denied it. He called her accusations lies. He fought her in court. He made the custody battle public. He turned their children into collateral in a war he chose to wage. And for years, the conflict continued. Supervised visitations, emergency hearings, allegations and counter-allegations. The machinery of family court grinding on while 2 little girls grew up knowing their parents couldn't be in the same room. What crossed the line wasn't the divorce. It was the choice he forced her to make. Denise Richards didn't leave because she stopped loving him. She left because staying meant risking her children. And once a woman has to calculate whether the father of her children poses a threat to their safety, there is no going back. There is no redemption arc that erases that math. There is no apology that changes the fact that she had to flee while pregnant. People forget that part. They see them co-parenting now. They see public statements about doing what's best for the girls. They assume time healed something. But time doesn't heal fear. It just teaches you how to manage it. And Denise Richards learned that the man she married was someone her children needed to be protected from. Not because of tabloid rumors, because of what she witnessed herself. That knowledge doesn't fade. It becomes the foundation of every decision that follows. And no amount of public civility changes what she knows to be true. Selma Blair. Selma Blair took the job on anger management because she needed the work. She signed on for a multi-season arc. She showed up prepared. She learned her lines. She did what professional actors do. She treated the set like a workplace, and the people around her like colleagues. She had no history with Charlie Sheen. She had no agenda. She was there to work.
Is Charlie Sheen trying to fire Selma Blair? According to TMZ, there's a massive war on the set of Anger Management, and things are getting ugly. Charlie Sheen has reportedly fired his co-star Selma Blair, and he refuses to go to the set today if she shows up.
And she worked beside someone who wasn't. Blair noticed what everyone on set noticed. Sheen was late. He was unprepared. He treated production schedules like suggestions. He made the crew wait. He made the other actors adjust. He turned what should have been a functional workplace into something that revolved entirely around his willingness to show up. He wanted her to understand exactly who had the power and who didn't. That text message is the entire story, not the firing itself. Actors get let go from shows all the time. The cruelty, the need to make it personal, the need to remind her that speaking up had consequences and that he controlled those consequences. Selma Blair was punished for telling the truth. She lost steady work. She lost income. She lost a role she had been promised would last. And Charlie Sheen made sure she knew why. He could have stayed silent. He could have let the business handle itself. He could have let her leave with dignity. Instead, he needed her to know she had been defeated. He needed her to feel it. That's not defending your reputation. That's asserting dominance. And it reveals something fundamental about how Sheen views people who challenge him. They don't deserve respect. They don't deserve professionalism. They deserve to be humiliated. Selma Blair spoke up once. She paid for it. And the message to everyone else on that set was clear. Keep quiet or you're next. Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman says Charlie Sheen raped his friend, not harassed, not made uncomfortable. He says it happened on the set of Lucas in 1986. He says Corey Haim was a minor. He says Haim told him about it. And he says he's telling the truth.
You name some names in that documentary and I'll shut up.
I don't talk about those anymore.
And did you ever get
I did it once.
Did people come for you?
Here, come for me.
No, did you get sued?
No. Ironically, that part didn't happen because I had insurance and I had lawyers and I covered my ass.
Charlie Sheen says it's a lie. He calls it vile fiction. He denies it completely. He says Feldman is fabricating a story about a dead man who cannot defend him or confirm what happened. He says the allegation is false. That is where we are. An allegation about the worst possible act. A denial, and a victim who cannot speak for himself. What crossed the line wasn't just the accusation. It was the fact that it could never be resolved. Corey Haim died in 2010. He was 43 years old. He struggled with addiction for most of his adult life. He spoke publicly about being abused as a child actor, but never named Charlie Sheen. He never filed charges. He never went to court. He died before this allegation became public, and now Corey Feldman speaks for him. Feldman didn't go to the police first. He went to the media. He made the accusation in interviews. He made it in a documentary. He put Sheen's name on record as someone he believes committed one of the most serious crimes a person can commit, and in doing so, he ensured this would never be adjudicated. It would never be investigated properly. It would never be proven or disproven in a way that carries legal weight. It would just exist. Sheen cannot defend himself in court because there are no charges. Feldman cannot prove his claim because the only witness is dead, and the public is left with an allegation that is too serious to ignore and too unverifiable to resolve. That is the cruelty of this specific accusation. Not that it was made, but that it was made in a way that guarantees it will follow Charlie Sheen forever without ever being tested. He will never be convicted. He will never be exonerated. He will simply be the man Corey Feldman says raped Corey Haim. Some people will believe Feldman. They will point to Hollywood's history. They will point to Haim's struggles. They will say the accusation fits a pattern. Others will believe Sheen. They will say Feldman is unreliable. They will say the timing is convenient. They will say you cannot convict someone based on a third-party account of something that allegedly happened nearly 40 years ago. But the allegation itself is now permanent. It doesn't require proof. It doesn't require a trial. It just requires someone to say it and for the internet to remember. And whether it's true or false, that is the legacy now. Charlie Sheen will be remembered not just for what he did, but for what someone says he did to a child. Charlie Sheen called himself a winner while everyone around him paid the cost. Co-stars who protected him, colleagues who challenged him, and also a replacement who outlasted him. The question isn't whether Charlie Sheen destroyed those relationships. It's whether they should have left sooner, and whether you would have stayed as long as they did.